Good morning, students. Welcome back to online course on SQL, Structured Query Language. In our previous session, we started this SQL and we have seen uh, the basic requirement in order to understand this structured query language and where exactly we use this structured query language, the history, the features, everything we discussed related, all theory concepts, whatever we have related to this database management systems or related to this structured query language that mostly we have discussed. So, in short, I have given a brief idea to you people what exactly we do in this particular add-on course. Okay, then after I have also given, I have also uploaded a video where I have shown how you can make the setup for this structured query language. What sort of application you have to download from the internet and how you can install that application into your computer and how you can make it ready for executing your SQL commands. All those things we have seen, and I told you don't go for any big huge applications because when you search inside your Google how to execute your SQL commands, basically they give you a very big application names, like they will ask you to install and download Oracle 11g, Oracle 18g, something like that. And even if they ask you, if they give you other application names like MySQL, or we have different platforms where we can execute our SQL queries. So all those applications, whatever they will give, whatever they highlight on Google, they are heavyweight applications. Believe me, they will consume more memory from your computer and they will slow down your computer performance. So that is the reason why I have given a lightweight application which is hardly like 210 MB when downloaded from the internet, and when installed it is taking like 1 GB of memory, 1 GB of hard drive memory from your computer, and it is not at all slow downs your computing performance or computer performance. Okay, so hope you all are having the setup ready, okay, for executing these SQL queries or SQL commands. Yeah, the next thing, there is a kind of hesitation in students' mind whether to opt this course or whether to go with this course, because already we have so much of burden on us, and can we complete this course within this semester? Okay, is it necessary? Is it mandatory? Why they have included when it is not there in the university curriculum? Likewise, many students, they are approaching me. So the students, it is very clear, whenever the department is demanding something from you people, you have to fulfill that. Okay, this add-on course, it is completely beneficiary to the students only. Okay, just start this course, complete this course, and believe me, nowhere you are going to lose anything. And whatever theory concepts we are studying as part of the semester, hardly you will see any of those things in your career. When you start working in an MNC, hardly you will see any of those things over there, because in our experience, what we have seen in students, they are good in academics but they are lagging in these trending technologies. If you go and ask your pass out students or the students who are currently in final year, third year, second year, you will understand that one. Okay, so joining this course, completing this course, it is like a tool what you are going to have when you complete this BE. Okay, Bachelor of Engineering. Okay, so the demanding technologies, the trending technologies, if you are good in that, means we can easily get placed. Okay, we can easily get placed. So with that motivation, with that positive attitude in your mind, just go for this course, complete this course. And as I said, it is mandatory for all first year students. It is not like CSE and IT. It is mandatory for all the first year students. And the reason for making this course as a mandatory for all the students is because when we are going for IT sector jobs, there is no barrier of department. Easy student can compete, triple E student can compete, civil student, mechanical student, all these students, they can compete for these IT sector jobs. And moreover, when you are competing for IT sector jobs, they will not see your academics. They will see what hands-on experience you are having, how good you are at problem solving techniques, and how good you are at these type of trending technologies. So that is the reason why we have introduced these type of bridge courses, add-on courses for your benefit only. Okay, so some of the students, they are saying that sir, will skip this course for this semester and will start this course next semester. Is it possible? See, again you will lag behind. If you do so, you will lag behind. How means, see, now in the vacation, I mean before starting this semester, we have completed the MS Excel. Now we are doing this SQL, and we are planning, once we complete this SQL, structured query language, we are planning something good, that is NoSQL, NoSQL. So if you lag over here, if you lag behind over here, then ultimately what will happen? You cannot start the NoSQL as well, because NoSQL, in order to start, you have to know SQL. You have to know SQL, then only you will know something, you will understand something as part of this NoSQL. Okay, so don't simply lag behind, don't simply ask a break for me, or take a break from your side. Simply go with the flow. Whatever technologies we are teaching, whatever add-on courses, bridge courses we are adding, simply go with them. Okay, so after this SQL bridge I mean add-on course, we are planning NoSQL, then Tabulate, then Hadoop, Hive, MapReduce. There are plenty. Okay, there are plenty that you have to complete. Okay, so yes, I'm planning a special lecture on this importance of SQL, or importance of this data science, or data manipulation, data visualization, the roadmap. I mean, how you can start your career in this particular field, data manipulation field. Already many times in my course itself, I have given you the importance of this data manipulation, and I told you many different domains we are having in IT sector, and currently the data manipulation or data related stuff is the booming technology. So that is the reason why I'm stressing this much. Don't waste your time. Try to go with the flow. Try to complete all these things step by step. Okay, so quickly, all the overview we have seen, and what is SQL I have given. Then history of SQL we have seen, how it has been I mean how it came into existence, how it actually started, all those things we discussed. Then the features, we said SQL is well defined, having well defined standard, it is easy to learn, and it is having views, and portability is one of the major feature of this SQL. All these things we discussed. Then uh, yeah, we have also seen the difference between data and database, isn't it? So I have given the example of library to make you understand this thing, and I told you that library is the database, and every book can be considered as a data. And inside a library, we are going to have the data of multidisciplinary in the sense from different sources. Like if you see the database, from where, I mean what exactly is the source for this database, if you see, we can have geographical data, cultural data, scientific, finance, statistical, meteorological, and natural, and transport related. All these, they can contribute, they can act like data sources when we are talking about this data. Okay, data origin points. Okay, so the next thing, what exactly is the database that we have seen, and the popular databases which are currently trending in the market, which are widely used in the market today, are, I told you, MongoDB and Postgres, and MS Access, SQL Server, MySQL, and Oracle database. And currently we are doing Oracle database, and I told you when we go to this NoSQL, we'll do in MongoDB. Okay, so the next thing, creating a user. So we started the actual hands-on from this point, and I have shown you how you can create a particular user inside your database. okay, inside your database. So creating a user is nothing but creating a separate scope inside the database. Okay, creating a separate scope or creating a separate session inside your database. So these high level terminologies you will understand very soon. The scope, session, okay, the transaction, all these things you will understand very soon. So uh, yeah, for creating a user we said we are using create user command. Okay, create user followed by the username, then we have to use identified by followed by the password. Okay, then creating the user, from where we are doing, first of all we have to logged in into the database like an administrator, and the default administrator for our application Oracle database, Oracle 10xe application, is your system, isn't it? System followed by the password whatever you have given at the time of installation. So using those credentials, using those admin credentials, we have to log in into the SQL database. So once we are into the SQL database, you can create the user of your desire. So that we said we have to frame a different user for every student. Like the standard procedure we followed over there, we said first of all we have to use the college name, that is ISL, followed by the department, your concerned department. So if you belongs to CSC, then ISL CSC, then followed by the last three digits of your roll number. So if I am creating the user for roll number 1, I have shown you that over here with example. So create user, so here you can see that one. So what we said, create, yeah, I will just take the marker. So here we said create user. Okay, then the username is from here to here. The username is ISL is my college name, then CSC is my department name, and 001 is my roll number. So like this you have to frame the username, and then identified by, once again it is a command part. Okay, identified by, it is a command part. Then this is your password. This is your password. So password we said we have to maintain same like your username, but all small letters. Same like your username we are maintaining, but all small letters we are taking over here. So ISL CSC 001 is my password as well, but all small letters. So like this we have created a user. Creating the user is not enough, isn't it? Simply if you have created the user with those user credentials, you cannot logged in unless you grant him the privileges, unless you grant him the permissions. Then how we can grant the permissions, in the sense again we have to make use of a command like grant, grant command we have to use in order to give the permissions or in order to give the privileges to a particular user. So now as I have created I mean, why we are going for this user, I have shown you with the example. I mean, I have shown you, I have by demonstration I have shown you, because in the admin user we are having a lot of pre-existing tables, pre-existing views, like 150 in number, isn't it? Like 150 pre-existing tables we have over there. So if you create your table, there is a possibility that the table will get mixed up with those pre-existing tables. Okay, the table will get mixed up with those pre-existing table, and it will become a hectic job for you to search for that table. Okay, so to avoid that kind of confusion, to avoid that kind of ambiguity, what we said, we will create our own user and will make that user as administrator, and we will practice our SQL commands. So in that step what we have done, we have created the user. Now we are granting the permission. So granting permission, grant permission, grant followed by the permission type. So this permission type we are giving, we are saying like DBA, because we are making him as an administrator. So take here, you have to write like DBA. Okay, permission type is DBA. 2, it is a command part. Then username, again it is a user defined thing, you have to give that one. So here grant DBA to ISL CSC 001. The same thing I have written over here, you can see. Grant is the command part, then DBA is the permission type, 2 is command part, then again ISL CSC 001 is my username. So what I am doing, after creating the user, I am giving the DBA, database administrator, permission to him. So once he's having the DBA permission, now he can logged in into the database. So using these privileges, now we can get into our database. So this is something creating the user and connecting the user. So logged in the sense, what we have to do, basically we have to use the connect command in order to log in into the database with some specific user credentials. So in order to log in as an administrator, default administrator, or in order to log in as a user defined administrator, in both the cases what we have to do, we have to use the connect command in order to log in, or in order to start your session. In order to start your session with the database, we have to use this connect command. So connect command, it is very simple. You have to type CONNECT. It is a command. Okay, connect. So when you type this command, I mean after the SQL prompt, it will ask you to enter the username, okay, followed by the password. So simply put the credentials of that user defined user, just now what we have created. Like here you see the example. If you see the example, the connect is my command, ISL CSE001 is my username, and ISL CSE001 is my password. So if you do like this, if you hit enter over here and over here, after typing the username and password, it will show you this message, connected. So it indicates that your session has been started. Now you can do all the accessing with the database. Once you are logged in, you can do the accessing with the database. So this is, first we have seen how we can create, then we have seen how we can grant the permission, then we have seen how we can connect with that user to the database. So then next thing, deleting the user. So at some point, if you feel, I mean at the time of creation, if you feel that you have not given the permissions, or if you have not given the username and password accurately, then what you can do, you can simply delete that user and you can go with a new user creation. Changing of password, that we will see, I mean in our next session hopefully. And many of them, they asked this doubt as well in the comment section, as well as to my WhatsApp personal. Many of them, they struggled while creating the username and password. So they have given the password something and they forgot. Okay, what password they have given, they forgot. So they are asking, sir, what is the password, I forgot, likewise. So there is a big technique actually you have to follow in order to what we call uh, retrieve the forgotten password. In order to retrieve the forgotten password, we have to follow the step-by-step procedure, and it is a very big procedure. Sometimes we have to deal with system registries as well, and I don't recommend, I don't suggest doing such complex things, hacking kind of things. Okay, simply what you have to do, delete your user and create a new user. If you forgot the password means, delete the user and create the new user. And as I told you, simply try to make everything easier, everything flexible for your understanding. And if you're not comfortable in giving that ISL CSE 001 or ISL CSE followed by your roll number as password, sometimes capitals you are typing and you are forgetting which letter capital I have typed and which letter small letter I have typed. Likewise, it is happening. Simply give all digits like 1 2 3 4 5 6, like your default administrator. Okay, give simple password to your user. Okay, so at any point of time, if you want to delete the user, deleting the user, you have to use the drop command. Okay, drop user is the command part and username is the user defined part. So drop user followed by the username, this command we have to use in order to delete the existing user. Drop user and followed by username. Yeah, one thing you have to remember, you cannot apply this drop user command to your system. Okay, to your system user. This is the default administrator, isn't it? What is system over here? It is default administrator, and don't try to delete your default administrator. Don't apply this to your default administrator. There is a importance of having this default administrator, that is yeah, what we said. Yeah, if anything goes wrong with your current user, then you can depend on this default user to do this stuff. Okay, that is the reason why this default user, it is having very much importance in our SQL. So simply don't delete this default user. Whatever manipulation you, whatever I mean what we call um, experiment you want to do, you do it with your user defined user only. Don't try to spoil the credentials, don't try to spoil the tables or views which are there inside your system, inside your default administrator. So here if you see, yes, drop user ISL CSC 001 followed by cascade. Okay, cascade. See, yeah, when we use simple drop user username and when we have to use drop user username cascade, there is a story behind it, and there is a what we call some logic behind it. So suppose you have created a user. Okay, let us assume you have created a user. Okay, you have created a user and you have not done any table creation or any no tables. In short, it is not having any tables or any views into it. So it is completely empty. So you have created a user and you have not created any tables or any views into it. No tables, no views, no stored procedures it is having. So simply when you are trying to print the content of this user and it is showing a message no rows selected, no rows to show or no rows selected, likewise it is showing an error message. If you are getting this this message when you are displaying the user content, that means this user scope is completely empty. This user scope is completely empty. So if the user scope is completely empty, you can use this command. So you can use drop user followed by username. So when the user is completely empty, you can use this command. But if you have created few tables, if you have created few views inside your user defined user, you have like 10 tables. Okay, in that same way you have like 5 views and 5 stored procedures, 5 views and some 3 or 2 stored procedures. Okay, stored procedures like this if you have, then you can't apply this drop user username. Simply you can't go like this, drop user username. Definitely you have to use this cascade. Cascade means whatever inside we have, recursively delete them as well and finally delete the username. The meaning of cascade is recursively delete the container content and finally the container. So the drop it, what it will do, it will delete only the container. It is not having the authority to delete the content of the container. Inside the container whatever you have, because over inside user now I have 10 tables, 5 views, 3 stored procedures. Your drop table, it is not having the authority to develop to delete those things, the contents of the container. Your drop command is not having the authority. So that is the reason why we are forcing it, you are forcing it, your drop command, to delete those as well by giving special permissions, by enforcing cascade over there. So if you use that cascade along with your drop command, then recursively what it will do, recursively first it will delete the internal content, then finally the container. Container is nothing but your user and content are nothing but those 10 tables, 5 views and 3 stored procedures. Hope you understood. When the user is completely empty, you can go with drop user username command. No cascade is required because we are deleting only the container and your container is not having anything. So user can be deleted in short. But if your user is having something in it like tables, views and stored procedures, if it is having, then only the drop command, solely the drop command is not having the authority to delete the internal content. So what you have to do, you have to enforce the permissions. You have to enforce simply by adding the cascade at the end. Okay, cascade at the end. So what this cascade will do, it will it will give special privileges to your drop command so that it will delete the internal content and finally the container. Hope you understood this one. Deleting a user, it is a two-way job when the user is empty, completely empty, and when the user is having some content in it. Okay. So all these things you better write down because you don't find all these things anywhere. Okay, so this is something about deleting a user, because I'm not showing this delete user command practically, that we are not going to have any hands-on on this delete user command, because I don't want to delete the user whatever I have created, or else we'll do it. But before that I will show you how you can create a user defined user and how you can delete that one. So I will create a temporary user and I will delete that temporary user. So let me just go to my SQL command line. So I'm opening my SQL command line. So this is my SQL command line, and I'm changing my properties so that you can see this change of properties. Sometimes in some computers it will fix. Doing once you can see anytime whenever you are opening. But yeah, unable to modify the shortcut. Acha, there is something. Okay, it got okay. So sometimes it will get affected permanently, and sometimes you have to do the change every time. Okay, so these are all these things are depends on your permissions, what type of permissions you have on this system. Okay, so the next thing what we have to do, yeah, I want to create a user, isn't it? So create, okay, all these things we set capitals. So create, create user. I want to create a user with name temp user because I want to delete it as well. So temp user identified by, okay, password I am giving like temp user only. Okay, temp user, all small letters. Hit the enter key. Not connected. See, we have to connect first of all. So I have to connect like an administrator. So connect, username is system, password is 123456. Hit enter. Yes, now we got connected. So same command you do now. See, whatever command you have typed recently, if there is any mistake, no need to type the command once again. Simply you can use the up and down arrows of your keyboard to shift between the commands whatever you have typed most recently. To shift between the commands whatever you have typed most recently, simply use the up and down arrows. If you use up and down arrows, you can shift between them. See, first I typed this command, then I typed connect command, then system, like this. I have typed three things. So my up and down arrows, they are shifting, they are switching between these commands. So this command I have to execute. So I have selected this command and hitting the enter key. So now the user got created. Can I enter into that user now? Not possible. First I have to connect to that one. So before connecting, I just want to show you how many tables or how many views we have inside this system. So how I said, I mean, what command? Select command we have to use in order to view the content. So select star from tab, hit enter. See, 158 rows selected. So 158 different tables, views, stored procedures I have inside my administrator. So that is the reason why I'm creating a new user. So right now I have connected the temp user. So I'm connecting to that one. Connect. So it is asking my username, that is temp user, and then it will ask me the password. So user, sorry, temp user. It got connected. Yes. Yeah, we have not given the privileges to the temp user, isn't it? So we have to give the privileges. See, all these things, why wantedly I am doing this means because you have to understand, because many of you are getting this type of error. So if you get this type of errors, lack I mean, here it is user temp user lacks create session privileges. So we don't have create session. So that is the reason why create session privileges. So to get the create session privileges, we need to be administrator. So as this temp user is not administrator, we are getting issues. So again, connect back to your system and give the privileges to temp user. Give the privileges to temp user. How we can give the privileges? Grant, okay, DBA to username temp user. So now the permissions granted. Now you can connect to this uh, temp user. Temp user, hit enter, and it is asking me the password. Same thing, temp user. Hit enter. Now we got connected. So when you are connected, now you see, because you have created this temp user just now. Just now you have created. So you just see the content inside this temp user. So how we can see? Same thing. Select select star from temp user. So it will show you what table or view does not exist. Select star from not temp user. Select start from tab to see the user content, we have to use tab. Okay, so no rows selected. So it is saying no rows selected because we have not created any tables, any views, any stored procedures inside the temp user. So that is the reason why it is completely empty. So now we are inside which user? We are inside temp user. So can we delete the temp user now? No, it is not possible. See, sitting on a branch and cutting that branch, it is something like that. If you try to delete this temp user, I mean, you're trying to cut the same branch on which you are sitting. Okay, on a tree you're sitting on a branch and you're trying to cut that same branch. So this is something like that. So we have to avoid such a thing. So what we have to do, first of all, you just come out of that user. Before deleting that user, what you have to do, you have to come out of that user. And how you can come out of that user? In the sense, simply connect to your default administrator. If you connect to your default administrator, automatically you will be out of that current user, isn't it? So try to connect to the database administrator. Connect, and database administrator is your system and password is 123456 and hit enter. Now we got connected to the database administrator. So from here you can drop that user. Okay, from here you can drop that user. So first let's just see how it will give. I mean, what type of error it will give when you try to delete the user from the same user. So now I am in temp user. Okay, now I am in temp user. So if I try to drop, temp user, okay, followed by the username, drop. Okay, what was our command over there? So we have to use drop user command. Sorry, drop user and then username, temp user. So like this. If you try to do like this, what it is saying? See here, error at line 1. The error code it is giving, followed by the cannot drop a user that is currently connected. So as I said, we are currently connected to temp user only and we are trying to delete that user only. So I told you it is something like cutting a branch on which you are sitting. So we can't do such a thing, and your computer will not also allow you, your database will not also allow you to do so. So what we have to do, first of all, come out of this user. So coming out of this user is nothing but connect to a different user. So I will connect to the database administrator, default database administrator, and I will delete this user. So how we can connect to the default database administrator? Again, use the connect. So followed by the system and the password is 123456. Hit enter. Now we are connected to the database administrator. That means we are out of the temporary user. So now I can delete that temporary user. So again, go up and check that one. Drop user username. Drop user temp user. See, user got deleted successfully or user dropped successfully. So here this message, if it is giving, that means user got dropped successfully. Hopefully you understood this thing. Hopefully you understood this concept without any ambiguity. So if you, I mean, as this temp user is empty, it is allowing, drop user is allowed to delete that temp user because it is not having any internal stuff. If it is having any of the internal stuff, then what we have to do, we have to enforce the privileges by using cascade. Okay, that thing you have to understand. So I have shown you how you can use this drop command hands on. Okay, I have shown you this as well. So the next thing we have to discuss, I mean, other commands, I mean, the actual commands inside your database management system, that is structured query language. So the standard SQL commands we need to discuss. The standard SQL commands to interact with any of the database, I mean, relational database are, we have to use your create, alter, select, insert, update, delete, and drop. Many of the times we use only these commands. They are the standard commands. Internally, they are having different subparts or subqueries associated with them. Internally, they will have many of these sub commands, but majorly are the standard ones are these things only. So to create something, we use this create command. The concept is very simple. That is the reason why it is gaining popularity. Already gained the popularity. Okay, create in the sense to create something, to create an object. Maybe it is a view, maybe it is a table, maybe it is a user. For everything we use this create. Alter, again same thing, to alter something. Select, to select something, to select an object or to select some portion of the object, not the entire object but some portion of the object. We use this select command with different sub commands. Okay, then insert, we have insert, to insert something into the created object. Okay, update, again to change the created object. Delete, to delete the changed object. Drop, again delete and drop, they are used, I mean, for different types of entities we use delete and drop, I mean what we call alternatively. Okay, so yeah, based on these commands behavior, they are classified into four different types based on their behavior or based on their nature. Okay, nature and based on their usage, we can say these commands, I mean above commands, they have been classified into four different types. The DDL commands, okay, data definition language commands, DDL commands. Then DML commands, data manipulation language commands. First one DDL, then we have DML, then DCL commands, data control language, and finally the DQL, data query language. Data definition language, data manipulation language, data control language, and data query language. We have four different types of commands in SQL, or we can say all the SQL standard commands have been categorized into four different categories. They are DDL, data definition language, DML, data manipulation language, DCL, data control language, and finally the DQL, data query language. So one by one we see. Data definition language, your create, alter, and drop. These three things are related to your data definition language command. Data definition language is something to initiate the object, to exactly allocate the memory inside your database management system, or exactly creating a fresh object inside the computer memory. We use these DDL commands. Okay, we use these DDL commands. Then we have DML, that is nothing but data manipulation commands. Already you have created the object, you want to do some manipulations to that object. Okay, already the object is created. So these DML commands we don't use to create the object, rather we use to manipulate the object. So like something insertion, something deletion, something updation, if you want to do such kind of things, we do with the help of this data manipulation language commands. So insert, update, and delete. Insert, update, and delete. So inserting a new row, updating an already existing row, and deleting a row, we use data manipulation commands. So this create, creating a table. So complete object we are creating over there. Alter, altering a table. So complete object we are doing. Drop, dropping a table, complete object we are dealing with. So that is the reason why DDL commands, they deal with the object, creation, deletion, updation of the object. And DML, object is already there, just we are playing with the internal content, like adding rows, adding columns, sorry, not adding rows, adding rows, mostly adding rows only. Okay, adding columns, again it will come under data definition language command. Adding column is nothing but you are completely changing the view of the table, isn't it? Changing the view of the table, so it will come under data definition language command. But adding new rows and new rows, it is just a manipulation kind of thing. Okay, so the next thing we have data control language. So in order to control the data, so controlling is nothing but granting permissions and revoking permissions. Just now we have created one user, and with the help of this grant command we have given the permissions. Suppose if you want to revoke those permissions, use the revoke command. So yeah, basically by giving permissions, by revoking permissions, what we are doing, we are controlling, isn't it? We are controlling the authorities of particular users, or we are controlling the authorities of particular objects. So such type of control to give and to revoke, we use this data control commands. And finally the data query, the select command is the data query language command. Always to retrieve the content of table or retrieve the content of the variable, we use this select command. Already we used one time just to retrieve the, just to see how many tables or how many views, how many stored procedures we have inside a table, inside a user. We use this data query language command, DQL, select command. Okay, so hope you understood the importance of data definition, data manipulation. Data definition 3 commands, data manipulation 3 commands, data control 2 commands, and data query only one command, like that you remember. Data query only one command, and whatever commands we are going to have in your SQL, all those commands are dependent on these standards commands only. Without these standard commands, you can't write any of the command in SQL. So always either you have to start like create, alter, drop, insert, update, delete, grant, revoke, and select. Only these are the major commands. Or I mean, we have many other commands, but they are dependent on these standard commands only. They are dependent on these standard commands only, and very soon we'll discuss all those things. So the next thing, yeah, RDBMS concepts. What exactly this RDBMS we have to understand? Okay, RDBMS concept. So what is RDBMS? In this, RDBMS is nothing but, if you see, it is an abbreviation. It is an abbreviation for Relational Database Management Systems. RDBMS is the abbreviation for Relational Database Management System, or in short we can say RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. So it is the basis for your SQL, because without this RDBMS there is no concept of SQL, structured query language. I mean, if communication is not the motto, if communication is not the intention, what is the advantage of having a language? What is the advantage of having a language? If I mean, assume a case where all the human beings inside the world, they don't want to communicate with each other. Okay, assume a scenario. Okay, assume a scenario that, I mean, different languages we have, isn't it? Different natural languages we have. Is there any use of those languages if nobody wants to communicate with each other? No use, because we said the primary goal, the primary motto behind having a particular language is the communication. So this RDBMS is the motto and SQL is the language. So without the motto, SQL doesn't exist. So RDBMS, in order to interact with the RDBMS, we are using SQL. If there is no motto, no use of SQL. So RDBMS is the basis for SQL, we said. And for all modern database systems like MySQL Server, IBM DB2, Oracle, MySQL and SQL, Microsoft Access. Okay, and Microsoft Access. All these are different database systems which we have available in the market. And in order to interact with all these things, the basis is SQL. Okay, all these are some of the examples for relational database management systems, and SQL is the language in order to interact with all these things. So a relational database system, RDBMS, is a database management system that is based on the relational model. Relational model in the sense, see, inside RDBMS we are going to put the data in the form of tables. In the form of tables. So here in RDBMS, the table is nothing but your relation. Okay, the table is nothing but, we call table as a relation. Okay, relation. See over here, that is the reason why they said RDBMS, it is a database management system which is based on relational model. They said relational model. Relational in the sense tabular. Relational in the sense tabular. Okay, all the data we are going to have in the form of tables. So like this, rows as well as columns. We are going to have all the data in the form of a structured pattern we will follow when we create the data inside RDBMS. Unlike your messages, your emails, let us take the example of emails or the messages what we sent on WhatsApp. Are they structured? No, they are not at all structured. We are simply writing the general text, the raw text, when we are sending a message to our friends in uh, WhatsApp. But whereas this RDBMS, it is a relational database where we are going to have all the data, I mean, organized in a well-defined manner in a relational model, like using tables in the form of rows and columns. Hopefully you understood. So in RDBMS we call the table as a relation, and we call the rows as records. Okay, rows as records and columns as fields. Columns as fields. These things you have to remember. Whenever I say field, you have to immediately column should come into your mind, and whenever I am saying record, a row should come into your mind, and whenever I am saying a relation, a table should come into your mind. Hopefully you understood these things. A table should come into your mind. So what are these things? Relation is nothing but table, records are nothing but rows, fields are nothing but columns. So like this. Okay, so RDBMS, some of the major concepts inside an RDBMS we discussed. Rows are nothing but records, fields are nothing but columns, relation is nothing but a table. So in RDBMS, the complete data will be stored in the form of relations by following a relational model. Relation is nothing but your table or model. Okay, hope you understood this thing. So here, what exactly is a table? So now we are dealing with tables, and what exactly is a table? You all know, because many things we did in your Microsoft Excel in the form of tables only, and whenever we are doing data entry inside a Microsoft Excel, the complete data entry will be done in the form of a table only, isn't it? The data entry inside Microsoft Excel will be done in the form of a relation only, in the form of a table only, and in the form of an organized data only. Unlike your WhatsApp, unlike your emails, unlike your Facebook comments, Facebook text, what we are having, unlike your websites, the complete data will be in unstructured form, isn't it? So your tables, your Excel sheets, spreadsheets, and your tables inside database, all these are relational models, because the data will be in an organized model. We are going to have in an organized model. Okay, a table in the database is a collection of data in a tabular form. What exactly is a table? Here you can see the definition. A table in the database is a collection of data in a tabular form. It consists of rows and columns. It consists of rows and columns. The table contains data elements, also known as values, using a model of vertical columns and horizontal rows. Inside a table, all data how we are storing in the form of rows and columns. In the form of rows and columns. Columns will be vertical representations and rows will be horizontal representations. Okay, the point of intersection. Okay, the point of intersection is nothing but how. See here, we are having these are rows and these are columns. So these are my rows, sorry, columns, and these are my rows. So where exactly we are having the values means at the points of intersection. So this is my intersection, this is my intersection. Likewise, at the point of intersection will be having values. So something very clearly I want to show this one. So we'll go to this and we'll see. See here, this is your table. Okay, this is your table. So inside this table we are having rows. So these are my rows, and again I want to have my columns. So columns I am keeping like this. So where exactly we are storing the data means at the point of intersection, isn't it? At the point of intersection. So this is row, sorry, this is column, this is row. So where is the intersection? This. Here only we are going to have values. Here only we are going to have values. At the point of intersection, whatever actual data we are having, we call them as values or data. Data are values, and these are your columns and these are your rows, and this entire thing is your relation. Hopefully you understood. So what are the things we discussed over here? We discussed relation, we discussed rows, and we discussed columns. We discussed these things, and data or value at the point of intersection we are going to have. Okay, so hopefully you understood these things. So quickly go and see what next we have in our discussion. So I will go to the I don't know where exactly it is. I think it got closed. No, here it is. So open this one. So a table can have any number of rows but should have a specified number of columns. So how many rows we can put inside a table? In the sense, there is no limitation. You can put any number of rows, but how many columns? There is a specific limitation, and that limitation, why I have not mentioned over here, means that limitation, column count, limitation on column count, why I have not mentioned means because see, it is different for different databases. Like MySQL is having some different count, Oracle is having some different count. Okay, likewise, that is the reason why I have not mentioned this thing over here. So the next thing we see how we can create a table, and how we can do the insertion, how we can do the deletion, how we can do updation on a table. All those things we discuss in today's session. See, first we'll start with creation of a table. So creating a table. Now we have seen, see, the database creation is over. Okay, the database creation is over. Database creation is nothing but your user creation. We have created the user. So generally database, how we show graphically means like a cylinder we show. Okay, like a cylinder we show like this. Okay, like this we show the database. So this is your database. So database creation is done. Database is nothing but your user. Okay, user, we have created the user scope, and that user scope is nothing but your database. So now what we have to do, inside this database we can put different objects. So one such object is your table. So first we create some tables. Okay, so first we create some tables into it like this. So these tables where we have to put inside the database only we have to put, isn't it? We said database is nothing but your collection of tables. Database is nothing but your collection of tables. So inside your database only we have to put all these tables. So first of all, how we can create the table? First of all, I have to log into this user, and then I have to create this table, and inside the table you can have your records. So today we'll be discussing three important commands. Okay, only three important commands I will show you, the standard commands, and we are not going to discuss any sub commands, only the standard commands we see. In that, the first one is the create command. Already we have seen this create command when we created the user. Then we see insert, because after creating the table we have to insert some value, so insert command. Then after inserting we have to view also, so select command. So these three things we see. So what are those? So let me just let me just type these things for you so that you will understand clearly. So we see three things in today's session. So first one is the create. Okay, first one is create command. Then we see insert command. Then we see select command. These three things we have to see in today's session: create, insert, and select. Create, insert, and select command. So one by one we do all these things. So right now I'm inside the I think I'm inside admin. So what I have to do, I have to enter into my yesterday's user, that is ISL-CSC001 user. So how? Simply type connect. So now after this what I have to do, yeah, type the username, as it is asking username. ISL-CSC001 is my username, and it is asking the password. ISL-CSC001 is my password. So now we got connected to the ISL-CSC001 user database scope, user scope inside the database. So here we can create tables, views, and other stuff. So first what I'm doing, now I'm creating a table. Creating a table, what command I have to use? I have to use the create command. See the syntax over here I have written. So what syntax I have to use? I have to use the create table. The syntax is create table and followed by the table name. The table name, let us say I'm creating an employee table, so EMP I have to give, and followed by the field name. Field is what? Fields are nothing but the columns inside your table. How many columns you want inside your table? Okay, those columns are nothing but your field names, and every column it must have an associated type. It must have an associated type. Type we have already discussed in C programming. Type is nothing but it will give what type of data we are going to store and what type of operations we are going to perform, isn't it? So type is something, what type of data we are going to store and what type of operations we can perform. So it is integer, character, string. Likewise we have different types of data we set. So here also, if you are declaring a particular field, let us assume it is an age field. It is an age. You are taking the employee age. You are reading an employee age into a particular field. Can it be a character? No. Age must be a numerical value. So you can take the age type as numerical. So then next, name. Name of the person. It can be both. Sometimes it can have digits, sometimes it can have numericals as well. So likewise, what data element we have to, what type we have to take over there. So all those things we discuss over here. So quickly, so first what we have to do, we have to use create followed by the table. Create table, and then give the table name, and then specify the fields and their associated types. So here I have given one simple example. We create this table only. So create table employee with how many fields? 4 fields I have taken. EID is my first field, ENAME is my second field, EAGE is my third field, and ESalary is my fourth field. So EID, employee ID, it can be only numerical. Employee name, it can be only characters, a combination of characters and numericals. So ename varchar I have taken. EID, numerical in the sense number of 6 means how many digits you can enter into that EID means up to 6 digits. You can't enter the 7th digit. Up to 6 digits only. The spaces, the space allocated for that EID is 6 spaces, 6 digits you can enter. Here the space allocated for this name is 20 characters you can enter into this ename. Like EAGE up to 4 only. Okay, up to 4 only. Actually 3 is enough, but if you take exactly 3, it will coincide with the next field. Okay, it will coincide without any space, it will coincide with the next field. So that is the reason why I have taken an extra space. So EH only 4. Okay, ESalary, it can be up to 8 digits you can use. Okay, 8-digit salary you can store inside this ESal. Okay, so these 4 fields I want with their respective types, like number of 6 spaces, varchar of 20 spaces, okay, 20 locations to store the name, then number 4, okay, then EAGE 4, and then ESal up to 8 you can store. So like this I want to create my table. So quickly see how this command will work over here. So inside the user ISLCS is 001. Now I am creating my user. So create table name is what I said, employee. Okay, employee followed by, okay, of EID number of 6, isn't it? EID number of 6 comma, okay, like this I will take so that you can see it clearly. EID employee EID of 6, then what we said, ename varchar 2, ename, the type is varchar of 20, varchar of 20, varchar is a type. Okay, then what we have after ename, EAGE we have EAGE, that is we said number of 4, then comma, again we have ESalary, ESal, okay, it is also numerical value, number of 8 we said. Okay, so these parentheses we have closed here, here, but at the end we have to close this parenthesis as well. So close that parenthesis and put a semicolon at the end. So this complete syntax, what it will do, it will create a table with name employee with these fields with their respective types, like this. So hit enter. So only this much. It will create a new table inside your database. Just see. Hit enter. Table created. It is giving a message, table created. That means the table what you are trying to create in a employee, it's been created successfully. So now how to check whether the table exists inside your user or not? Say use that same command, select star from tab. Okay, select star from tab will give you the current user view. Okay, how many tables, how many views we have inside the current user, that it will give. So as it is showing over here, so previously it was showing no rows selected, isn't it? So when we tried this tab inside this temp use, inside this what we call ISLEC, before creating this table, it showed us that like no rows selected, but now here it is showing T name, table name, employee, tab type, table, it is showing. Table type, table only, it is showing. Okay, so like this, employee table, it is created. I mean, inside this table, what rows we have, what records we have, that to see. See, select, generally we have to type like this, select star. Star means all, select everything. Select star from table name employee emp, hit enter. No rows selected because we have not entered any data so far. We have just created the structure of the table and we have not entered any data. Okay, so you have to understand this difference. Select star from tab and select star from table name. Select star from tab, we are selecting the complete user content, complete database content. But select star from table name, that is employee, we are selecting the content of this employee, not the user content, only this employee. As we don't have any rows into that, that is the reason why it is showing us no rows selected message. Okay, so now, yeah, the two commands we discussed already, the select command and the create command. Okay, the select command we discussed and the create command also we discussed. Now we see insert command, how we can do the insertion. So quickly go and see what next thing we have. Yeah, deleting a table we will see afterwards. Then basic SQL commands, select fields from table. This, okay, once we do the insertion, then you will understand. Okay, once we do the insertion, then you will understand the rest of the commands, because first we have to enter some rows and some columns into the table. Okay, so for that what we have to do, we have to use the insert command, insert into. Okay, select field name, create table, but insert into table name. So this is the command part, insert into is the command part. Then you have to give the table name and field names, all fields, whatever fields you want to insert values, all those fields list you have to give over here, followed by the values command, and specify those values, so the command, the complete command, I mean the complete query over here, you can see using this insert command, that insert into, here you can see insert into employee. Employee is my table name, and what fields I want to insert is EID, ENAME, EAGE, ESAL. If you don't want to insert any of these fields, suppose assume that you don't want to insert age, then simply skip age over here. Skip age and you pass only three values over here. Okay, whatever order you are giving, the type of, I mean the field order you are giving over here, in that same order you have to pass the values. So first we said EID, so compulsorily you have to give EID as the first value. Then we said ename, then compulsorily you have to give the ename as the second value. ESAL as the EAGE as the third value, eValues as the fourth value. Likewise, you have to follow this rule. Whatever order you are giving over here, EID first, then ename, EAGE, ESAL, in that same order you pass the values. Let us say if you give John over here, it is an error, because John it will try to store inside EID. John is the person name, employee name, that it will try to store inside EID, which is an error. So simply what it will do, it will show you an error. Hopefully you understood. So quickly we'll practice this command on SQL. So what we said, what we have to, yeah, in order to enter this row, in order to insert this record into the table, yeah, follow the insert into. Insert into, give the table name, that is employee, followed by the field names, EID, comma, ename, comma, EAGE, comma, eSalary. Okay, eSalary. So then values of, pass the values. What should be EID? Yeah, whatever EID you have, like 1001 I'm giving. Then ename, yeah, whatever name you have. Let us say Ahmad. Okay, then EH, whatever age. See, whenever we are giving name, as it is a string, you have to use single quotations over here. If it is a name, you have to use single quotation over here. Okay, if it is a string, you have to use single quotations. If it is a varchar type, you have to, varchar type constant, you have to use single quotations. About data types, about constants, in SQL also we will discuss. Okay, so this is just the practice, initial practice we are doing. So the next thing, age we have to give like 32 years. Then finally the salary, let us say 80,000. Okay, 80,000, like this. So now close this parenthesis, put the semicolon and hit the enter key. One row created. So one row created, it is showing. See, this very important, this syntax, whatever we are doing over here, whatever hands-on training we are doing over here, please practice these things. Okay, insert into employee, EID, ename, EAGE, eSalary, values 1001, the person name, employee name Ahmad, age is 32 years, and followed by the salary, that is 80,000 I gave. So one row created. Now to check that row whether it is there inside the table or not, how we can? Again select, okay, star from EMP, employee. Select star from employee. Hit enter. See, now it is showing that table, that row entry inside your table. Okay, EID is 1001, E name is Ahmad, E age is 32, and E salary is 80,000. So like this. Try to create another row. So insert into table name employee of fields EID, E name, E age, E salary, then values of, okay, 1002, comma, John, okay, comma, age is some 52, comma, salary is some 75,000. Okay, like this. Close the parenthesis and put the semicolon and hit the enter key. Another row created, one row created. Now to check the table content once again, select star from EMP. EMP. Put the semicolon, hit the enter key. Now we have two rows. So the complete all the fields to select. Okay, select command variants I am showing over here. Okay, so these things I can't give you as a notes. You have to practice and you have to write it down inside your notes, running notes. You have to write it down, all these things. I can't give these type of manipulations, all these things, because how in how many different ways we can use a command means we can use many different ways. Those by practice only we will learn. Okay, we can't have a notes specification or something. So see here, when you are keeping star over here, star means I said all. Star, what it is doing, it is selecting all the fields from your table, all the fields from your table. So if you want to select some specific field like EAge only I want from the employee table, I just want EAge, I don't want all fields. So how you can simply put select EAge, employee age, field name is EAge, followed by from table EMP. So select the field name EAge from employee, select EAge from employee, hit enter. So it will give only EAge, employee age only it is giving, it is not giving the complete table now, as you can see. So suppose if I want only E name, I don't want other thing, so select, okay, select E name from EMP. Okay, now hit enter. See, wonderful, we got the answer over here. Okay, E name only it is showing, it is not showing any other stuff. Hopefully you understood. So again, select if you want the combination of two fields, like if you want EID and E name, don't want other thing, EID and E name only you want. So type those two things separated with a comma, EID comma E name from EMP, like this. Select EID E name from EMP, hit enter. It is showing only those two. Okay, EID and E name only it is showing. So all these are retrieval procedures. All these are retrieval procedures, like your pivot table. Pivot table, using pivot table, what we have done in MS Excel, Microsoft Excel, the relevant data we have selected. So here also the relevant data you can select. From the raw data, you can select the relevant data. There are more things to come, more visualization techniques to come. So these are the basics. We are just doing the basics. Remember. Okay, select EID, E name from employee. Okay, if you want all the fields, simply put star, and if you want a specific field, give that specific field name. Okay, like this. Hopefully you understood how this select query will work. Query language, this select command, it is a data query language command, DQL, isn't it? Data query language we said. Okay, uh, yeah, the next thing, yeah, what we have, we'll go and we'll see what we have. Yeah, insert into we have seen. Yeah, insert 3-4 rows, 3-4 more rows, like yeah, yeah, but by making use of this up and down arrow keys, you can simply quickly insert the rows. So over here I have just done the up arrow, and yeah, here you can put 1003. Then here you can put in place of John, you can put uh, some, sorry, Afzal. Then the age is like 32, and the salary will be like 50,000, like this you can put. hit the enter key, another row created one more row, create another row, that is 1004. I am giving the person name, and the person name, okay, like this, and the age, it we set 45, and salary we set some 34,000. Hit enter key, one more row got created, create another row, 1005 is the ID, person name is a robot, then age is like 35, and salary is like 50, 47 something. Okay, hit enter. So random rows I have created. So now you see, select star, the complete table. If you want to see, select star from emp. Okay, select star from emp, hit enter. See, these many table, I mean these many rows we have created, these many rows we have created. So delete command will practice afterwards. So simply it deletes the rows from your table. It deletes the rows from the table. Yeah, to do that one we are using this delete table command. Okay, to after doing some more practice on that employee table, I will show you this delete table command. Okay, then we have select field from table, this we have discussed. Then insert into also we have discussed. Delete command we said we will practice afterwards. So hopefully this much of practice I want from your side. Okay, do this practice and try to create your own table, try to insert the rows, take some different fields, and simply do practice. Practice only makes you perfect towards this structured query language. Okay, so as I said, there is no way that we can give that we can conclude or complete all different possibilities of different commands inside a theory notes. So that is the reason what I told you, what I said to you. Simply make a running notes and try to write all the commands and their outputs immediately as you go, as you create. Hopefully you understood. So we'll see the further concepts in our next class. Thank you very much, students.